Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Welcome to Triggered. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, well, just about anything. But to start us off, we're going to be talking about video games. And what about video games? Well, multiplayer games in particular. We're going to talk about, well, any multiplayer games that influenced us growing up in particular. And the games that really defined us and how they've changed and how games have changed in general and what games we play now. So, I'm going to start us off with a little bit of my introduction into multiplayer games, and that would be the Halo series. The Halo series is essentially like where I started with LAN parties and stuff like that, and playing, connecting several Xboxes and playing just decimating each other with tanks and just going absolutely insane and having 16 people in a room with 4 different TVs all playing 4-player split screen, and it just becomes absolute chaos. Yeah. So I want to open up the floor, and let's talk about what multiplayer game experiences you guys have had. So, does anybody want to start us off with a particular game that comes to mind? Anybody?
Okay, did anyone play StarCraft multiplayer?
StarCraft. I was never a StarCraft guy. Is anybody else a StarCraft person here?
Know
No.
of it, but I never got to play it.
My first multiplayer game was Age of Empires 2. I remember I played at EGZ Zone, X Zone or something like this. I forgot the name right now. But it was like you would play as one of the civilizations, and it could be like 4 versus 4, and it was actually an awesome experience for me. It was one of the first that actually came to my mind. It was the first time I could actually sit in my computer and play over the net with people all around the world. And back then we still had dial-up modems and shit, so connection was real slow, but it was doable. It was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, so what is everybody else's experience with the first time they ever played a mass multiplayer game, excluding small stuff like Mario Party with your friends on a 4-player split screen? Has anybody here done bigger connecting stuff like the LAN parties and stuff? Alo, do you want to say something?
Massive multiplayer game was a massive online game called Gunbound. Basically, everybody was on these random surfaces, and you pick your tank, and it was a turn-based game. So you move each turn, you get to move a certain amount of
Oh
distance
yeah,
and aim.
that was
I
a fun
remember
game.
that one. It
Oh, you
was
played Gunbound before? Yeah.
it was very similar to the Worms games, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it was very close to the Worms game, but you could move your tank, and it had wind, and each tank had some kind of attribute for something. For
yeah.
example, the main tank had this shield, so if you hit him, he would regenerate the shield. There was this boomerang tank. It was actually just a wooden tank, so it was really frail, but it had this boomerang stuff that it could throw, and it was pretty awesome because if the projectile stayed in the air for like 3 or 4 seconds, it became this golden boomerang, and it would hit for like a shitload of damage. It was very fun.
I would use the lightning tank. It was like one of the hardest ones to use because it depended a lot on the wind, and lightning couldn't strike certain surfaces, so you would have to reflect it off of other things to hit
Oh,
you.
I remember. I
Yeah, that
remember
was
that it
fun.
had this thunder projectile. It could actually hit below the tank. If he was in a platform, the thunder would hit above him. It was pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that was my tank.
Yeah. So, anybody else play games similar to that, or anything else that somebody wants to bring up? Craig?
I was going to say I can't really remember my actual first multiplayer game. It's been a while, but all I play now is mainly FIFA, Tekken, and
Did you ever go to LAN parties for FIFA or anything like that?
um, well, I don't know, just one of my friends' houses just had like a console too. It wasn't really a massive LAN party or anything like that.
I think because for me, my first experience, like I said, was LAN parties, but I only ever did those a few times, and then that was in my early childhood with Halo 1, and I was really young. I think 6 years old, 6 or 7, and the game was like 2 3 years old. It was we didn't have Halo 2 yet. I might have been older than that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But basically, we were all playing together. There was we age ranged from like I think I was like the youngest, and the oldest was probably like 13 or 14, and we would just sit around and we would have like a bowl of fucking pretzels, and we would just
Yeah.
and you know and a pop or a thing of pop, and we would just play Halo like all day, and it would just be like
There's actually one game coming out soon, well, at the end of October, is the Metal Gear Online series. So that's going to be really big online, so that's my next one.
Metal Gear Online. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was all into Halo 2 and Halo 3 online, like just absolutely insane. But all I remember about like games like that for online, like COD and stuff like that, is how bad the lobbies were, and how long
Yeah,
you'd have to sit and wait for games, and how 90% of the, you know what, an especially bad game for that I recently played was GTA 5 online, which is an incredibly fun experience. Is anybody here played GTA 5 online?
Yeah, on my PS3, yeah.
Yeah, I played it too.
Yeah, that's like a really fun online experience. But the thing is that like literally, if you played it, you know that like 80% of the game is loading screens. Like you
It
spend
definitely feels like it, yeah.
The
you
other
spend
20% is hackers.
well, yeah, you get the
That
occasional
too, yeah.
hacker, but I find that more it's you spend like eternity literally just staring down at a city, and you're just like, oh well, this is fun. What other games do you guys play though?
Diablo. Yeah, I've mostly been a console peasant most of my life,
Same.
but I think the first, yeah, so it's strange. So the first multiplayer game online I think I played was Diablo 2 on the PC.
Diablo 2, cool, very cool.
You guys played that?
No, I haven't, no.
I did play a bit. I've also played Diablo 1 actually for quite a while.
Oh, I never did that. I've only played 2.
Played Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn, the online game for my PS4, and the JRPG MMO for PS4, Onigiri. Played both of those.
The thing with Diablo 2 is that whoever played Diablo 2 since when it started and then went to play Diablo 3 everyone was so heavily disappointed with the continuation that it was actually just a shadow of Diablo 2. It was very disappointing.
Oh, was Diablo 2 really the best one?
Yeah, it was the best of the trilogy without a shadow of doubt because it took Diablo 1, which was actually a groundbreaking game by the time, and when Diablo 2 came, it basically took everything from Diablo 1 and made it even better. But yeah, I think that it took a little bit of the mature content from Diablo 1 to make it a more streamlined game. But at the time, there was no game that portrayed what Diablo 2 could do. It was no game at the time that could do it. So people didn't mind at all because the gameplay was so evolved, was so more fluid that nobody cared because it was such an awesome game. And it actually continued to improve for so long that I think that even when Diablo 3 came, people were still playing Diablo 2. I think people still do.
Oh, well, there was a lot of security holes in Diablo 3, wasn't there? I think a lot of people lost like a lot of personal information and stuff.
Yeah, and it's actually very funny that you think that when time goes by, people would get a little bit more of a security, a little bit of more of
Apparently not.
of account security, but it's still flawed. Yeah, it goes even worse from time to time.
So, is everybody here? Let's go down the ranks and see what everybody is. My life pretty much was always a console peasant. Essentially, I had my first console was the Super Nintendo that I ever played, and Super Mario World was I think the only game I had. And then I got a Nintendo 64, and I basically only played Super Mario 64 and Legend of Zelda, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and a few Mario parties here and there. And so that was those would actually be probably my earliest multiplayer experiences is with like small games where you play with a few friends like Mario Party. But then eventually I got into PC, which was about a year or so ago, and now I am like a full PC gamer, and I can't believe I ever did anything else. So what about you guys?
Console for life, man.
For me, I started off just like you with Nintendo, and yeah, I played mainly Mario and Contra. Never could beat Contra. Yeah,
Contra, man.
I know, man. Only 3 lives to beat that whole game. What was
You
it?
you gotta get the password that gets you. How many lives does it give you? There's a
30, I
special
believe.
passcode. Does it 30 lives that it gives you?
I believe so. It's the Konami code, isn't it?
Konami code. That's it. Yeah, you have to get
Yeah.
the Konami code, dude.
Shit,
Not enough.
that at the time.
30 lives should be enough, yeah.
But yeah, I had a phase of I went to PC and basically because of modding, and I was like, man, modding is fun, but after like about a year, I realized none of the games I like are here, and all my friends are playing the other stuff. And then my friends like, you can mod games on the PS4 and stuff too, right? And the PS3. And I was like, oh shit. So I went back to consoles because I mainly like JRPGs, and they're the ones who give me my fix for it. PC doesn't offer it to me yet. Plus, I can mod on consoles, so I don't really have much of a need for PC. Who knows? Time may change.
Yeah, I was going to say, what I used to play on PC was mainly like the old Total War series of Shogun. The first one I really got into. But they also had the Caesar games. I like them. And the Pharaoh game was pretty cool. But it was usually like earlier stuff. But after I changed to Mac, I was kind of fucked. So I'm pretty much stuck on console. And all I play now is like action adventure games, like Uncharted all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a purpose in a console, but not anymore. And the purpose was that in a console, you could just put a game in and play it straight away, and you didn't have to set up anything. You could just plug it in any TV. Now, basically, consoles are PCs, and it's just no point. Not really the topic. Yeah.
True.
Well,
If
no,
PCs
dude.
had all the console games, there wouldn't probably people would go to PCs. It's just they don't offer everything people get from consoles. Plus, I like some of the console services. Like I like the fact that none of my friends, like when my friend buys something on PlayStation, all of us get it free. Just all of it. I love game sharing to death.
Yeah.
So it's basically one guy has to buy a game, and then everyone gets it. Then next week another guy buys a game, then everyone gets it.
Does game sharing only work for PS3? Because I was never able to. I've never been able to use that feature.
You probably didn't know how. Basically, what you would do is you have your account number. You can activate your account on other people. So you would get your friend. They would activate your account on their names. Then they would download the game you wanted. Then they would just delete your account.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they just get whatever they want off of you. That's generally what I do to all my new friends on PlayStation. I show them
Yeah,
what do you
I'm
want.
pretty sure you can't use multiplayer games to play each other, though, can you?
Can you do what?
Can you actually both have the game on sharing and play each other online?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're asking.
Say I give you the game. Can I now play you on multiplayer game?
You said if you deleted the game, can you
No.
play it?
If I share you the game, can we
Yeah.
both play each other online?
Oh yeah.
No, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, they put a limit on it, but yeah, basically you can download it on like 3 times on 3 different consoles.
All right.
What about you, Zeno? Are you a console peasant or a PC guy? Okay. We can
All
move on.
Yeah.
What about Kimoy?
I've always been PC. I did get a PS2, but when I did get it, it had been out for a while.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like the one. The one. That,
It just
It was the worst of the generation. Yes.
yeah, well,
The worst
it was
generation.
the best selling one, wasn't it?
It was.
Isn't it
Performance-wise, it was, yeah.
Isn't the best selling console of all time?
Is it? Oh, it might have been, yeah.
I believe
It's
so.
funny that the least powerful consoles tend to do the best for some reason.
Hmm.
Like the Wii did like really well. Least powerful. Like,
Well,
Did the Wii really do that well though? I thought the Wii did shitty.
No, the Wii U did shitty. The Wii
yeah,
did fine.
the PS3 did okay.
I think the PS3 caught up a bit eventually, but yeah, for ages the Wii was just like miles ahead. Because it was just appealing to so many types of people, young people, old people,
Personally, I don't really think the Wii was
All the
because
base.
they didn't really have that many console games really that I actually cared about. Because the PS3 has so many exclusive I actually cared about in that. Like, I liked it a lot more. But that's just personal preference.
So, tonight is a free for all, and I feel like this wasn't necessarily our greatest subject. So, I have an idea. I propose that we go and talk about the issue that we were talking about off air earlier, and we kind of discuss that issue live. So,
Which issue? I don't remember.
Can you give me a
uh,
flashback? I wasn't here.
yeah, Aloe, it would be interesting to hear your opinions on this too, if you weren't here earlier. So it's basically what Gothic was saying
Oh God.
about homosexuality.
Careful.
So what? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Brazil. Never mind.
We could also talk about Brazil too. We could talk about Brazil
What
too.
do you want to Brazil? Whatever.
You're such a bunch of pussies. Let's talk about homosexuality. Come on.
I ain't scared. I'll say stuff.
Okay, so
Let's talk about our favorite YouTuber. Let's talk about Jerome, the pimp, the guy who said that sucking dick ain't gay because he said it ain't gay, and if
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
not gay, it's ain't gay.
Oh yeah, I love that
That
guy.
video was really good.
And that gay. What
I'm
did he
not
call
gay
himself?
because I ain't gay, and ain't gay.
He's gonna say that dick.
but
Sorry,
basically what
sorry to
Gothic
mock
was
people,
saying,
but what a character.
Mhm.
what Gothic was saying was that
Wait, is
homosexuals.
Gothic here? Hold on. Is
No,
Gothic?
he's not.
No, unfortunately, he dropped out. We might be able to get him back in, so that we can actually
Okay.
get. So, if here, in fact, I'll work on that. Meanwhile, why don't Alan? Why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about what you think, if you remember what Gothic was saying?
Yeah, what we were actually saying is that we think that the behavior of homosexuality amongst male and female people who are masculine or feminine, whatever, it's basically a multitude of factors that apply all together to drive the behavior, let's say. So whenever people say that they are homosexuals because of X, because of Y, because of Z, I don't think that's actually too accurate. I'm not sure if I'm being scientifically correct on this stance because even science itself doesn't have a 100% correct affirmation on this stance. But that's just my personal opinion. I believe that
Well,
it's a conjunction of factors.
yeah,
Go ahead.
but for me, at the risk of sounding like a dick, if someone tells me the reason I'm homosexual is because A happened to me, I'll be like, nah. They say that you have to be
It's
born
not that simple.
homosexual.
No, it's not that simple. It's not
Yeah.
just happened to you. It just didn't happen to you. It was a mix of factors that evolved together and brewed into whatever you want to like. So what we were saying, we were talking about attention-seeking behavior, and what Gothic said was something like, I think that people who have homosexuality are more prone into getting into attention-seeking behavior than people who are heterosexuals.
Well,
And
that's
to some degree,
that's.
I think you can be straight and still be an attention whore.
yeah,
He's not
that's
saying
what
not. He's saying they're more prone to it. I think
they're
that
more
just comes from
prone.
being
Yeah,
born.
yeah. What I'm saying
I thought you
is,
were saying that if people were homosexual to be attention seekers or something.
yeah, what I think about it is that yes, I think there are homosexuals that do it for the attention. I do believe it so. I believe that there are people that call themselves bisexuals just for the attention.
Oh,
Yes, I do believe.
bisexual. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
think
a
that the
different
behavior exists. I think that behavior exists, but I'm
one.
not
I'm
saying
bi
that.
curious.
I don't know.
No, no, you're not. You're not a snowflake. Shut the
Maybe,
fuck up.
maybe, I don't know. Here we go. Maybe women. Hey, I touched a boob once. I'm queer. I mean, I touched a boob that wasn't mine, so I'm queer
Yeah,
now.
but what I'm going to say is a bit controversial, but I think that women do
I have
this more than men because they are more prone to attention-seeking behavior than men. That's my point. But
You're
Nah,
saying
I
there's more
think
lesbians than gays?
sorry,
You're saying there's more lesbians than gays? Is that what you're saying?
I mean that there are more homosexual behavior between females that do this for the attention behavior
Oh,
part.
okay.
Then I think that
I
it
think
goes
yeah,
more for the females.
I think it's more due to the fact that there are no consequences, at least very little consequences. If you're a woman and you decide to experiment in that direction, you're not going to suffer great consequences,
If
you
you
might have
if
some
you talk in
people.
a societal way, yeah, in a societal way, if you're a woman and you have some homosexual behavior, you're not going to get condemned by it. You're not going to be a lesbian for it. Society thinks that you're not a lesbian just because you engaged into homosexual behavior once. People will say that it's just an experience and it will fade out. For men, yeah, you can be homosexual just once and not be anymore. I think the society thinks that way. This is not just my personal opinion. So I don't think that way, but I think that the whole people, when they think in conjunction, they think that just because one person had one homosexual uh, one homosexual say
Experience.
experience, yeah, sorry, I was looking for the word, and they are homosexuals for life if you're a man, say. I don't agree with this, but I believe that yes, society tends to believe this way.
So like the guy who was talking about sucking dick doesn't make you gay. You can see how that'd be true.
I know
Kind
people
of.
who consider themselves ex-lesbians.
Yeah, I never got that. I know a game.
There's
Well,
always
actually,
this
just a couple
special
people.
term. Yeah, there's always
Yeah.
this special term that people are going to label themselves so they can gather some more attention. I'm a trans-seeking lesbian man, woman that has feminine and masculine behavior, and I'm bi-curious and shit. You're tri-curious, you're pansexual. No, shut the fuck up. No, that's not how
I
it
kind of
works.
get, sorry, I kind of get the
Go ahead.
ex-lesbian thing though, because it's like they tried it and they're like, nope, now they're done.
That's not being lesbian though, is it?
You know what I mean?
Just because
Because they're just
Why
like, how
is
do
it that,
men do this?
why is it that do you guys think that women tend to do that more than men? Because I don't know about you guys, but I've seen that way more where women will like have a bisexual phase.
Well, like there is very little consequence, very little social consequence, and there's also this. I don't know. It's gonna sound like I was gonna say, well, like I said before we went on air. That's a bit chauvinistic, but if we're going to look from that perspective, like sexual value, the value on the sexual market, like some people say, if a woman does, hang, make out with other women, their sexual value actually increases. And if we're talking about men, it's the opposite. Most commonly bisexual men are seen as gay men in denial.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like a stepping stone. They're gonna be gay. They just haven't gone to it
People
yet.
focus on the fact that they have a gay part of them rather than they're straight and also gay. So it's like, oh, you're bi, oh, so you're kind of gay.
Women can also
You're half
change
straight,
and go.
you're half gay.
Mm.
Yeah, that goes back to biology and chemistry. Like, just if a male is willing to just go in other relationships, whereas if a girl is, doesn't matter as much, you know? Like if two girls are in a relationship, they can still be in a relationship with a guy,
Are
and for him,
well,
it's just,
are you saying that gay people are hiding it more, or that it happens less?
no, I just mean like biologically, it kind of makes sense that lesbians might not.
Like a
Like it doesn't
lesbian
matter.
couple can have a boyfriend. The couple themselves can have a guy friend, and no one's gonna care. No one's gonna judge. It'll
No.
just look like the guy got two girls. That's all that's gonna be said about it.
Is this putting people off coming out, or putting people off just doing it? I mean, that will put people off, yeah, being open about it, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm full of
It
shit.
wouldn't necessarily make people like, oh well, I'm not gonna be gay because
I'm trying to get Gothic in, by the way, Craig. But I'll say something that my opinion is that I think that the majority of homosexuals and transsexuals legitimately have the issues that they claim to have. I think there are a lot that probably maybe more than straight people. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't even necessarily go that far, but there are a lot of them that have the attention-seeking behavior in them. But I'd say that the majority of them legitimately, like homosexuals, are what they say that they are. They were born that way, and I would say it's the same way for most
No,
transsexuals. So
I disagree. I disagree.
the-
No one is
the-
born
I know
that
you
way.
disagree. That's why I said it. I want to get
No
a
one is
conversation
born that
going.
way. No one is born that way. It's not. It's not a condition that you get on birth. It's a
Well, they
series of
haven't discovered a
that,
gene yet, so give them time. If they do find a
yeah,
gene,
they may be fine. They may find it. Yeah, but I believe that if any type of gene can be suppressed with your social interactions and with your experiences in life, it
Okay,
was actually
no, that's not how genes work.
yeah, yes, that's how genes work. If
No.
it
you're
is how
looking at
mental genes work. You
if
can
Okay, okay, we
override
have
a
we
copy.
have we have Gothic in here now. So why don't we have Gothic
Okay, so
clarify his position?
go
I
ahead,
left
Gothic.
so Will or Wayne could join, but apparently they just don't care. So anyway, what are you talking about? Something
We are
about
talking about
lesbians.
yes. We want to hear your opinion. The topic we were talking about earlier. We want you to clarify your position because that's what we're talking about.
Clarify about what? Introduce me. Give me a starter. So
Oh,
I don't know how to begin.
how do you feel about homosexuals?
Well, depends how I feel about the label, how I feel about the people. I can tell you how I feel about the people, since I think that this was the main topic that we spoke about in the pre-show. I think that it's largely based on attention seeking to an extent. Homosexuals basically, like transsexuals, like all of these people, like all of these special snowflakes, they are basically special snowflakes.
So do you not think like it's just possible to just be homosexual and not be attention seeking at all or anything?
Well, you have to. Well, I'm saying that every human wants to seek attention to an extent. I believe that homosexuals do it by their sexuality. This is how they express themselves. Other people express themselves differently. I'm saying that's how homosexuals do it, and that's why they are homosexual. Like transsexuals, like I don't know, androgynous,
So you're saying can you be
trisexual,
homosexual without
hermaphrodite.
can you be homosexual without being flamboyant about your sexuality?
You can.
So then,
But I'm just saying that there's a
without
range.
seeking the
There's a
attention.
range. There's a range. Can either be fully flamboyant and fully, you know what I'm talking about when I say flamboyant homosexuals. We know the stereotype and so on. Or it can be a realistic, more. I mean, I don't know if I should say realistic, but homosexual that isn't as much flamboyant.
But is a
But I still
homosexual?
think that there's a range. That they are both homosexual because they are attention seeking to an extent.
The flamboyant, yes, the flamboyant ones, I'd agree. You can be a homosexual and just not have the attention-seeking behavior. That's what they said. You can actually just like men, and that's it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're not doing it for attention. Just if you're attracted to the other sex,
Then again,
your sex. I think that happens,
A
but
lot more
I
attention, yes, but I don't think that's because of
Yeah, but can you argue that, yeah, that they just peacock it instead?
Yeah, I think they're probably just trying so hard to be like
Just showing yourself on the
feminine,
radar,
but
basically,
not.
aren't you?
Like they're trying to so hard to be feminine, but they're not. So they just kind of end up trying really, really,
yeah.
really hard.
So I
Yeah,
think
I-
it's the special snowflake syndrome. That's my argument, basically.
Oh, I do have a problem with
If
that.
they're peacocking instead, they actually put themselves on show.
Hi. The problem with the attention-seeking angle is that you don't only get positive attention, you get negative attention, and you have people who are gay on places where they get overwhelmingly negative attention. Not to mention that there is diminishing returns with the positive
did I-
attention, right? You come in and say, "Oh, I'm gay." I said, "Okay, nice.
Okay,
You're so
yeah.
brave,
do you
great."
want to know
But
something?
then the
Do you
other
want
day, I say, "Okay, I'm gay." I say, "Well, we know.
I want to
We
kill
heard the first 11
Hang on.
times."
I
Let
will
me
give you
comment
guys
on this.
the single fact. I will give you guys the single fact that proves all of the points that we are discussing here. That proves my point of view. That proves Gothic's point of view. Statistics don't lie, right? So here you go. Once men have a sex surgery, they are 5 times more likely to commit suicide.
Mhm.
How do you explain
What,
this?
you mean transgender, male to female
If I am a
transgenderism?
man, if I am a man and I have a sex surgery to remove to be a female, I'm 5 times more likely to commit suicide than an average man.
What's your point?
My
What-
point
what-
is that
What do you think that implies?
regret. That's my point.
Yep.
Couldn't it be? I would say my
It's a
first.
one-way,
I
it's a
wouldn't
one-way
necessarily say
world.
that.
You can
That's
go back.
Hold on.
You can go back on it. So there are actually some medical associations in Europe that ban sex surgeries exactly because they consider that the increase in suicide is so high
Yeah.
that it's just it's not safe to do it
Yeah,
anymore.
John Hopkins Hospital banned it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So you just can't do it anymore because the risk of suicide goes up so much that you just can't do it to a person and expect it to be just it stays normal because a lot of people just regret that they do it and they can't go back. And
Do we
as
know?
someone
Do
in
we
the
know that it's regret though? Do we know that for a fact? Do we know that that's what's happening?
sorry?
Do we know for sure that the reason that the suicide rate goes up is for regret? I mean, couldn't it be argued that it like because a
It could
lot of
be,
people
it could be a lot. It could be a
Well,
lot.
man, it's
There's a
just
bunch of
common sense.
reasons.
It's fucking common sense, man. If you do a sex surgery and
No. You can't
you
just
suicide
Listen,
later.
Alan, if I were to give you drugs to inhibit your testosterone, and then I gave you a bunch of estrogen, you would go crazy. But we had in the 70s, I guess, this movement within psychiatry where you cannot involuntarily commit people to asylums. You can't force someone to seek psychiatric help. So you kind of have that situation where they bring in the person, they give the treatment, the hormone therapy, they give the surgery, and they're kind of on their own there. There's a lot of issues, a lot more complicated than just, oh, they regret it. I think it's way more complicated than you giving credit to.
People with body issues are probably more likely to be people that go through it are probably more likely to have kind of mental issues. If that makes any sense. So
Well,
I
are
don't
you
think
sh-
the
are
surgery
you sure
and
that?
they regret it. It's just like they're already in the first place in that kind of fragile state of mind. I think
Yeah,
that's a
agreed.
possibility. I don't know. Maybe Alan's right. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
Are you
really a
sure that the
doctor.
rates
Yeah,
of suicide are not the same before the surgery as after it?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
not. Are we sure that it's the surgery that caused the increase in
Yeah,
suicide
that's
rates,
what
not
I'm saying.
just
Not
transgender
really. I'm
as a
not
whole?
familiar with the statistics to
It'd
know
be a
if it's post-surgery, it's pre-surgery. I have no idea. You just keep the problem is that we keep hearing these points how they're killing themselves, but we don't really get any detail because it's not relevant. The relevant part is that people are killing themselves, and why are you not doing something? Do something. They don't really go deeper into it because it's triggering, I guess.
I think that the
Aha.
drugs they take
It's
are
yeah.
relevant
This
into
whole
this.
Yeah,
getting the
all massive factors anyway.
Because I mean, they take the drugs of the opposite gender instead of the drugs that will actually help them alleviate the stress involved with gender dysphoria or whatever that is. So I think that contributes to it. They are taking the wrong medication that
I think there
affects
are
the
plenty of
mental
cases of
state.
transgender people that are taking the supposed right medication and aren't feeling any better and are continuing and get worse and then end up committing suicide.
Well, I can tell you that there probably are many cases where it's exact opposite.
Sure, but so then why should I believe that either one then?
Well, because I think that's the central point. I mean, we'll have to get statistics on that, obviously, but I think
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
yeah.
our knowledge in that area is very much limited by our
Our ignorance on the subject.
yeah the lack of
Yeah.
understanding of brain chemistry and the whole deal how gender manifests in the brain.
But then again, this is also sort of the point of the show is that we're just a bunch of shitlords expressing our opinions. We're not limited necessarily by our ignorance, but we can talk about it. I don't think anybody should be banned from talking about it.
Yeah.
No, me
Can we
neither.
go
It's
back
just
to the homosexuals? I think it's important to
okay.
discuss what. Well, it wasn't me that brought up transsexuals.
No,
Well,
go ahead.
it was me to an extent, but anyway, I think what's important in this discussion is to realize what causes homosexuality, and what I think. That's what I think, so don't take it as an objective thing. But
So Gothic is saying the truth is.
yeah, well, homosexual are conditioned into this, that they are not born this way. Because I mean, I see homosexuality as more of a fetish, like every other sexuality, like Magic Bubblehead. We've seen him on the show with the previous guest, Anna Cherry. Do you think that if you see a baby, do you think that oh, he's gonna like transsexuals, or this baby is gonna be transsexual, this baby is gonna be homosexual? No, you don't do that when it comes to fetishes. Well, we are supposed to believe that there's something called the gay gene, and apparently you can know straight when a baby is born that he's a homosexual and so on. So I think that societal factors heavily impact what you're gonna like sexually in your life. And before people are gonna accuse me, no, I'm not saying that homosexuality is a choice, like societal factors and so on. What I'm saying is that society affects it. Someone may not be conscious of his preference. Someone may not be conscious of what he actually likes, like heterosexuality, like bisexuality, whatever. I don't think that Magic was consciously decided to like trannies. I mean, can you consciously decide to like something extremely disgusting as a fetish? Can you consciously decide to, oh, I want to fuck that corpse tomorrow? No, you're not gonna do that. So I think there's a heavy societal impact. And I don't think that people are born this way.
I can understand your argument. I'm not sure I'm 100% swayed, but I 100% understand where you're coming from. So
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if there was a study done on like heredity of fetishes, and you went through generations of people and looked at what fetishes they had and their parents had and their grandparents had, that there would be
we have no data on
themes.
that, though. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
because no one wants to ask
Some
their
fetishes
grandparents.
private
are
matter.
so specific that how are you going to pinpoint that to a gene?
I can, and plus, you know what? I can almost to Gothic's point, without revealing my own. I know pretty much for a fact that my fetish was developed because of things that I saw growing up. Like certainly, like I can go back and pinpoint the things that created it. So
It's
I can see his point there.
always feet.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's not
somebody
me.
was spanked, well, if someone had actually gone to a Catholic school and was spanked by
Okay,
a
I'll just
nun,
tell it.
he might
My-
want to fuck nuns. He's older.
My fetish is
I
Gothic.
think that's the same case with homosexuality. That's just what I think.
Yeah, but there's another thing with that exposure of, say, being spanked
Okay,
was
can I just
experienced
prove my point
by
here?
a ton of
Can I-
people.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Sorry to
ahead.
interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I
Um,
just got the article here. It's an article from Sweden. So
Right.
the context of the abstract is this. The treatment for transsexualism is sex reassignment, including hormonal treatment and surgery aimed at making the person's body as congruent with the opposite sex as possible. There is a dearth of long-term follow-up studies after sex reassignment. So this is the context of the abstract, and here are the results. The overall mortality for sex reassigned persons was higher during follow-up than for controls of same birth sex, particularly death from suicide. Here's a key point. Sex reassigned persons, also had an increased risk for suicide attempts and psychiatric inpatient care. Comparisons with controls matched on reassigned sex yielded similar results. Female to males, but not male to males, had a higher risk for criminal convictions than their respective birth sex controls.
Yeah, I think
So, in
that
conclusion, persons with transsexualism after sex reassignment have considerably higher risks for mortality from suicidal behavior and psychiatric morbidity than the general population.
Yeah, I think Karen Straw talked about this, about male to female transsexuals and female to male transsexual, that women are more in fear of things. They fear more things when they walk down the dark alley. They have there's a higher fear than a typical male walking down the alley. So if a female to male transsexual takes testosterone, it makes her more aggressive, whatever. I'm not going to respect the pronoun in this case, so it makes her more aggressive and more likely to commit crimes. Whereas if a female, not male to female, takes estrogen and so on, the fear factor increases and the person is more in fear of something. And some of them just cannot psychologically handle this newly found fear. and so they kill themselves. Because I mean, we as men, we can deal with this because we are brought up like this. They just suddenly gain this fear. And that may play a part.
Yeah,
I
but they would
think
have gotten that when they started the hormone replacement therapy, not the sexual reassignment, right?
I think that question is to Alan because he's got the article.
Sorry, go ahead again. Sorry.
I just meant in general, like that change in attitude from the hormones would have happened when they changed hormones, not when they got surgery.
No, that's not true because female to male people didn't have the same reaction as a female to male people. So they had the same treatment for hormones, except it was opposed. So, for instance, instead of taking progesterone, you would take testosterone. So the females that went into sex surgery and tried to go with their lives as men didn't have the same suicide rates. So what did you take from it? It's not the hormones.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's too soon to know what's actually causing it, but I know that correlation is not causation. I know this term in statistics, but I mean, when you take this in the when you get into a point and hospitals start to ban the surgery because of the amounts of risks from suicides, I think there's something needs to be done. I don't know.
uh,
Yeah.
Wayne, welcome to the conversation. Gothic, I think that you should maybe say your position. By the way, nice new profile pic, you piece of shit. Um, you should
Shut
maybe
up.
explain your position, maybe quickly surmise it one more time to Wayne so that he's a little cued in, because I think he'll have a lot to say on the subject.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the origin. So I don't think that homosexuals are born this way. I think that homosexuality should be treated more as a fetish. Because I mean, if you look at a baby, like, let's see an adult likes trans people, likes, let's say something weird, like likes to fuck horses or something. If you look at a baby when he was a baby, are you gonna say, oh, this baby is gonna like to fuck horses when he's gonna be older? So why are we saying that, oh, this baby is gonna be a homosexual, this baby is gonna be straight or something like this? I think that this is just ridiculous. And regarding homosexuals, I think that a large factor of what forms one of those, well, I shouldn't say one of those, one of them is the society. And I don't want to go full SGW that it's a social construct, but I think that the society heavily influences a person, like heavily influences person's fetishes and so on, and so homosexuals are influenced by this. That's why they are homosexuals, because they are influenced to a large extent by the society. So I guess that's more or less a summary.
All right. Well, Wayne, can you speak to that, or are you too busy with your child?
No, I'm good. He's finally got himself to sleep, which is always nice. But
Slipped him some whiskey.
a lot of what you're saying there is well, is controversial, is speculation, and kind of flies in the face
Well,
of
that's the
a lot
point
of
of the
things that we
show.
know. Well, I'm not saying it's not, but you know, I'm merely making a point that you know a lot of what you're saying is it runs contrary to what we
Yeah.
know from therapy, from I'm
Well,
sure you know that they've tried these de-gaying techniques largely in very Christian therapy centers where they basically take somebody who is a good God-fearing Christian, but who has this very strange desire to have sex with people of the same sex, and they're raised in backgrounds and environments where I'm not sure where I'm not sure how this fetish, if you like, could become something that's the result of their environment, because they're raised in an environment where it's not seen as a taboo. It's seen as sinful and wrong. And all the experiences of people who've been through this therapy seem to demonstrate that what it does for them is it just makes them very confused because they're being told one thing, they're being told that they need to reject this thing, but they continue to have those desires.
Yeah.
They stay there.
I think
Well,
another
depending on
thing that
that, you
I
can
need to
pretty much sorry,
go
you can
ahead.
pretty much deprogram anyone to can deprogram anyone to be or not to be anything. It's just, is it for their own good, and how far you're gonna go, ethically speaking.
Well, you can deprogram people of ideas, but not of like sexualities. That's been shown that
The
much.
sort of people who would do the whole trying to change gay to straight are not like very scientific people, so their efforts should not be considered like conclusive efforts.
And I think I must note, Wayne, is that this study was done on people that were already attracted. Doesn't really tell us about the origin of such attraction.
No, and I'll be honest with you, I still agree largely with you. I think that there's definitely a large percentage, if not an entire percentage, of homosexuality stems from nurture rather than from nature. But how much we can then change it once it's deeply rooted, I don't know. That yes, you can program people's minds to an extent. You can do all kinds of crazy things with brainwashing techniques and hypnosis, but there are some things that are they're too deep. You can't. It's very difficult to, for example, to brainwash somebody who isn't open to it to kill themselves.
Yeah, if you're not gonna increase a person's quality of life, there's really no point in torturing them, quote
There's
unquote,
not.
torturing them.
Yeah, another point that I'm not so sure about, but I still mention it, is I think that homosexuality might be influenced by attention seeking. I'm saying attention seeking, what I mean is gathering attention, because every human has a need to gather attention. It depends on the form, so I think this is how homosexuals get that desire, relieve that desire to get attention.
So how do you explain similar homosexual behaviors in animals?
No, they might be practicing. Like a lot of animals, in fact, are bisexual, not homosexual, not exclusively male-male contact. Like a lot of animals are actually practicing with other males, so then when they meet a female, they can, well, they can be better at it, basically.
Okay.
Well, there are
I
dolphins that reproduce and practice sexual behaviors on non-dolphin species. So what do you say about it?
About non-dolphin species, the sexual
Yeah,
behavior.
they are not practicing because they are actually engaging in sexual behavior with things that are or animals that are not dolphins.
Like the chimp that fucked a frog.
Oh, once
Well,
again, I
we're
think
talking.
that's the,
I'm bringing this is why I'm only bringing dolphins to the equation, because so far science only believes that dolphins and humans engage into sexual behavior for pleasure. So I don't think a monkey does. Science, at least as far as I know, didn't prove it so far. But I think dolphins are very similar to humans when it comes to sexual behavior, and they do it without the. I think that the practice logic that you're trying to make, Gothic, I think that it actually doesn't make a lot of sense when you have this in context, that dolphins engage into sexual behavior with animals that are not dolphins at all. And we have this with seals, I think. I think there was this documentary that seals engage into sexual behavior with penguins in North Pole or South
That's
Pole, whatever.
hot.
Yeah. They actually rape the dolphins, the penguins, sorry.
Oh, they know so
well,
much, then.
we also have to consider the primitive biological desire to have sex.
Yeah, that must be it. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's
Yeah,
just primitive behavior to
yeah.
engage into sex. Yeah,
What
I
I'm
think that's
saying is
something
that
very raw into it.
we
Yeah.
should evaluate why do people have a preference over females and males. I mean, logically, if we got this desire, everyone should be bisexual and nobody should care. But why do we have this preference?
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, if you can satisfy the desire in any way, then you should be able to fuck anything. Why do we have that desire? So
Don't imply
this,
design because
so this is why I'm
doesn't
saying
work
that
that way.
this is a fetish.
Yeah, but there are
It's
animals
not
that don't.
everyone
They
has to
don't.
be gay by default. That's not really how it works, really.
No, I'm saying about relieving the desire. Why do we have a preference if all we care is about relieving the desire? I think this is why I'm saying that it must be something special about it. It must be a fetish that only some people inhibit and others don't. Because that's logical.
Why can't it be biological? Exactly. Why do you think it can't be? Are you
What
saying
do
that
you
it can't be?
mean? Like, why can't homosexuality be biological?
Yeah.
Well, it is biological to an extent. Well, not
Maybe
when it comes
fetish.
to
Oh yeah.
evolution.
Well, you know what I mean.
Maybe fetish can be biological too. I mean,
Oh yeah, everything's
Yeah,
biological, sure, but you know, doesn't-
yeah. I mean,
why can't it be a gene of some sort? Like a
no.
gene.
So, well, is there a gene that some people like to fuck horses? Is there a gene that tells them to do
There
so?
might be. Yeah.
There might
So a
be.
fuck horse gene. So
It's
there's like
very unlikely.
thousands of genes for all different fetishes. Like Magic has a transsexual gene because he likes to fuck chicks with
Okay.
dicks.
Let me bring up a good
That's
point
only
about genes. Let me bring up a good point about genes. Genetically speaking, the pit bull is the most ferocious dog on the planet because they were actually bred to fight. So everything about the genes in pit bulls are meant for it to be a fighting dog. Am I correct on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think.
Okay. So hear me
I
out. So how can a pit bull be this ferocious dog, and yet I still know a few dog owners that have pit bulls that are as sweet as a poodle?
Because they pit bulls aren't just pure pit bulls. They still have the you can't just erase ancestral traits. You can only just write over them. They still have the
Yeah,
traits of those other
that's
dogs
my point.
that made
Yeah,
them.
exactly. That's my point about the genes. I can see pit bulls that are bred to fight, have this perfect behavior to fight. They have all 100% pure pit bull race thing going on with them, and they still can be sweet little dogs
Yeah,
without being
exactly.
aggressive at all. So
I
Well,
the
can
how
add
genes
about
were
to this.
suppressed
There was a
because they were
story
treated
from
well.
yeah.
Yeah, they were treated well.
I
They
can add
weren't.
to this. There was a story from Russian where some Russians actually adopted some, well, motherless wolves, some motherless wolves when they were little baby wolves. And what happened is that they were very peaceful, they were very friendly, and they were wolves. They are biologically designed to scavenge, they are biologically designed to fight in packs, yet they were very peaceful and so on. They were conditioned. So it just adds to that argument. And even though something genetically might be designed to do this, it can still be societal through the society. It can be conditioned.
are you saying there's a straight gene?
Am I
Yeah, I
saying
think.
this? No,
Sorry.
no. I'm saying there's a
Or is
sexuality.
straight a socially construct too? So
No, I'm saying there's only one.
put into us?
Well, not one. I think sexuality is complex, but I think that there's just a sexuality section of our genome, and it doesn't say, oh, you have to be this or you have to be this. I think that fetishes and sexualities, well, fetishes are sexualities in my opinion, but let's just make it clear. Fetishes and sexualities are acquired through the societal factors
Okay.
instead of genetical. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think there's a straight gene. I don't think there's a gay gene. I think that sexuality is a complex thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, we are coming up on the hour mark, so I think we've exhausted this topic a little bit too much.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not really my topic anyway.
I can add one
Uh,
thing. I can just add one
Go ahead.
little thing. Is that another way you can look at this would be just that there's two causes for homosexuality. One of them is hormone change, and another one is fetishization. So some of it would be just a fetish, like all the other ones. Maybe they are influenced from whatever during childhood. Probably not, Freudianism, but something. And then there could be another sort of transgenderism, wherein homosexuality would just be a mild form of transgenderedness. And then if you look at it, it's a lot more common in men to be transgendered than in women, which makes sense because you lose the Y chromosome to become female, whereas for females to gain maleness is pretty hard. There's a lot
Well,
less gene mutations that can happen.
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. I think that there are a lot more men than women, or people who are born men than are born women who identify as a transgender person. But I think part of that stems from the fact that it's much easier for a woman to demonstrate masculine traits.
Yeah,
Easier?
we talk about this earlier. Yeah.
It's much easier for a woman to act like a man than it is for a man
Yeah.
to act like a woman.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah.
socially.
Okay, so does anybody else have anything they would like to add to this before we close off?
Well,
I
I'm
can't move on.
I'm
so
still interested in this characterization of it as a fetish because well, I mean, you know how literal I am with terminology, and to me, a fetish is something which involves an object or part of the body that generally wouldn't be considered sexual, like a foot fetish or a hair fetish.
Told you.
So,
Always feet.
do you, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see heterosexuality as a fetish as well, or are you just using that as like the default?
Well, I guess so. I mean, we acquire different fetishes. So, I mean, I think there's a difference in definitions between us because I consider like liking transsexuals like what magic does. I consider that a fetish too. So, I think it's just a difference between the definitions between us two.
Okay, no, that's fine. And again, you're not you're not obviously making a value judgment anything here. You're just
Yeah.
basically saying that there are conditioned behaviors where
Yeah.
certain people develop certain
And
tastes.
I'm not saying it's conscious, so I'm not saying they consciously choose to be that way.
Yeah. See, I'm perfectly willing to accept the possibility of there being a gene out there that in some way influences your sexuality. The problem that I have with that is that we're not searching for a sexuality gene. We're searching for a gay gene. And I think that's kind of counterproductive. But that's largely because the funding for these things is motivated politically.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I just like to. Uh, we were talking about this for a while, and I was actually researching about the topic. And there was this hospital. The hospital that I was mentioning is Johns Hopkins Hospital. And the Johns Hopkins Hospital is actually the number one or number two. It's actually in the top three hospitals in the U.S. according to U.S. News and World Report until 2012. So it's actually a highly regarded hospital. And I went into research the CEO of the hospital. I don't see any headlines of any kind of political issues with him or anything that would dissuade the hospital from having a good perspective on the issue. And this is what the psychiatrist of this hospital said. Transgender is a mental disorder and sex change is biologically impossible. And here's why. Here's what he said. He said that the trans women who wish to surgically alter themselves to appear more anatomically female fall into two main groups: conflicted and guilt-ridden homosexual men, and heterosexual and some bisexual males who found intense sexual arousal in cross-dressing as females. So he had other impressions at first, but here's what he said. The hope that they would emerge now from their emotional difficulties to flourish psychologically had not been fulfilled. Second, they express little interest in and seem indifferent to babies or children, which are typically female interests. So there you go.
So I mean, they obviously do inhibit. They do keep some of the typical male behavior,
Exactly.
even though they are transitioned somehow.
And this psychiatrist, he's actually the author of two books, and he's a co-author of four other books and is an editor of of this seventh book. So this is just not a John Doe speaking. This is actually a well-renowned psychiatrist speaking on the matter from one of the most prestigious hospitals in the U.S.
Okay, I think we will probably do a follow up on this, and we will
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with biotic.
We need
Biotic
some
would be nice
gays.
to comment.
we'll probably do a follow up on this. So, other than that, we've been talking about this for a good while, and I think we've exhausted it to this point. So I am going to terminate tonight's broadcast right now. So I would like to thank everyone who's joined us. Thank you for coming, and have a great night, evening, or morning.
Ciao.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Shalom. Shalom.
Bye.